Subhanallah, we thank you Allah, we praise you Allah, for the books you have sent Allah. Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, we thank you Allah, we praise you Allah, for the books you have sent Allah. Subhanallah, we thank you Allah, we praise you Allah, for the books you have sent Allah. Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, we thank you Allah, we praise you Allah, for the books you have sent Allah.
Bam! Greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. And I mentioned both Jesus and Muhammad's names, peace be upon them both. You're looking at the Underground Railroad television show. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. Central Time. And to you people looking on YouTube, share this, like it, all that. Now, I am honored to have my Islamic brother that I've been knowing for years. And he gave me some advice one time, and you know what? All praises due to Allah. It pulled me up while I was down in the gutter. You know, and this is what Allah's help. Because the message came from Allah. It's like, you ever have something happen to you and somebody called you and they called you right on time and you weren't even looking for that? And he's like a brother I call up. And, you know, brother, I've been trying to get this brother on for 2 years. So thank you, brother. His name is Abu Bakr. Assalamu alaikum. And assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Alhamdulillah. And what I'm going to do is give him the opportunity. We're going to be talking about the 5 pillars of Islam. And there's no question that I can't ask this brother really that he couldn't answer, because his knowledge of Islam far exceeds mine. And I say that humbly. So please, brother, give the people introduction. You know, you can tell them what mosque you come from, and you know it.
Clifton Raheem Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship, or nothing worthy of worship except the creator of the heavens and the earth. Yes, my brother, he's been inviting me to the program for a number of years, and I've been reluctant to come. You know, and I talked about this to a few people that I know, and they said, man, go ahead. You know, I said, okay. I go ahead and said, you know what you know, you've been exposed to what you've been exposed to, and maybe you could say something that's going to benefit somebody. And I'm just echoing what he pointed out to me earlier.
See, his knowledge, I'm going to tell on myself. You know what? I can't read Arabic. He can read Arabic. Okay? He can read it fluently. I can't. That doesn't mean that I'm a bad Muslim. That just means that I need to take more time out. Sometimes, but his deen, I would say his deen, his imam is higher than mine, because I hit some low points and bad points. Imam means faith. But brother, I want to ask you, brother, brothers, tell me, what masjid do you go to? And hi to the brothers out there, the Masjid Al Farouk, Masjid Al Fatih, and Manyun. But what masjid do you go to?
It depends on what side of town that I'm on when it's time for prayer. And the one that I'm closer to. Now, I've attended those masjids that you just pointed out. Mm-hmm. And there are other masjids that I also frequent. Okay. One that's closer to the house is Masjid Muhajirin. Okay. That's on southwest side of Chicago.
Okay, man. Hi to the brothers out there. I got to go out there. And brother, I want to ask you something about the 5 pillars of Islam. Can you explain to us, first of all, why are there, first of all, what are pillars? When you say the 5 pillars of Islam, for the individual that's looking out there and they say, what does pillars. What is he talking about? Can you expand upon that point?
Briefly, every building or every structure is built on a foundation. Pillars might be recognized as a foundation in which Islam is based upon principles that's building up the foundation for this way of life. Islam is a complete way of life. And the pillars, there are 5 of them that's known throughout the Islamic world. The first one is the belief that there is only one God who Jesus prayed to, who Moses prayed to.
See, Jesus prayed to.
Yes.
Be upon. Okay.
Peace and blessing be upon all of them. Who Abraham prayed to, who Noah, who Lot prayed to. All of them prayed to the one God. That's the first principle. That's the first pillar.
Okay. Shahada, it's called Shahada, right?
Shahada, yes, or Shahadatain. Shahada means taking a declaration.
Okay. Well, I mean, this word, you've explained the etymology of what Shahada means. But when you explain the etymology of the word, what does it require for you to come into Islam? Shahada, that's a foreign word to a whole lot of people. What does it mean in English?
Declaring your faith, Shahada.
Okay.
Shahadatain, that means that you're declaring your faith, that there is no God or nothing worthy of worship except Allah. There's one declaration of faith. And then the second one, in the language.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead, brother. I'll come to that for Shahada.
Yes.
Why is it important that I make a declaration of Shahada to become a Muslim? And I don't know if I have to make declarations if I go to other religions, but I'm specifically talking about Islam. Why is it essential?
We are told in the Quran, in the glorious Quran, that we were born Muslims. Every human being that come into existence came into life as a Muslim. Now this world makes us other than a Muslim. Our parents, the culture, invites us and encourages us to become out of our nature, our natural anatomy, and become others than a Muslim. So when you reach your age of puberty, in your age of adulthood, and then you make that declaration of faith, then you bear witness that there is no God worthy of Allah. I mean, no God worthy of worship but Allah. Excuse me.
Well, when we talk about puberty, and then I'm gonna come to the next pillar. Is the child responsible for his sins while he is a child, or does he have to come into adulthood to be responsible for his sins when it comes to Allah?
When you have knowledge, that gives you a responsibility. With knowledge also comes responsibility. Now, when you have a child that doesn't have the knowledge, he would not be held guilty of a crime that he would admit when he have knowledge and he become an adult.
So are you saying that any children, there are children that are getting killed in Chicago, and universally, they get instant Jannah because they're not, Jannah means heaven, because they wasn't responsible?
Allah is most merciful. Each prayer in this way of life, it starts out in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. And Allah sees and hears and knows it all. You are judged by your intentions in any court of law, and also in the higher court. Did you intend to do that? Well, no, I was just playing baseball and I hit the baseball and it hit him in the head and knocked us out. Mm-hmm. It wasn't your intention to kill them.
Yes.
Okay, now back to your question. Does the children deserve Jannah? That means the highest heaven. Yes, they are, because they don't have a whole accumulation of a lot of sins.
Mm-hmm. And you think the second pillar of Islam is prayer. Why is it important to pray? And how many times must we pray a day? And what is the name of those prayers?
Prayer is essential. Prayer is a way of communicating with our Creator. When we want to communicate with our Creator, oftentimes you could hear anybody, whatever their persuasion may be, they make prayers. We are instructed to make prayers. There's a certain way that we are instructed to make the prayer, following the example of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. 5 times a day and night. Like right now, we're closing in on the hour of the evening prayer, which is called Maghrib. We're getting very close to that. And by virtue of our talking about the subject that we're talking about right now, we could be excused, because we're not just talking a lot of foolishness, we're talking things of great importance, So Allah's mercy is more extensive than Allah's wrath. And I pray that Allah don't hold us too accountable for going into the hour of Maghrib. It's essential 5 prayers a day and night.
Can you explain to the listening audience that we're inviting to Islam the name of these prayers or salats that we make? And what time? Is it a specific time? And can you explain the name of I think that I'm saying it right. the name of the prayers like Fajr and why do we make them at those specific times? And when do we make them?
Yes, they have names. The first one to start the day out with is Salatul Fajr. That's the early morning prayer. And it's made at a specific time. When the sun is coming up on the horizon, example, this is the horizon and this is the sun coming up. You make the prayer when the sun is here and the light is present. That's the first prayer, the Fajr. Very important. It has many hasanat. I heard you use that term earlier. It has many benefits, and it's so important. And there are 2 rakahs. There are 2.
Somebody don't know what rakats mean.
There are 2 executions of the prayer. Positions, that we assume when we're making the prayer. And that might be a little extensive, but anyway, the first one, back to your question, Salatul Fajr, that's that early morning prayer before the sun, and then after the sun reaches its zenith, and there's afternoon prayer. Many Muslims, they make it, there's another prayer, Shuruk, after the sun reaches about your height over the horizon. Some Muslims make 2 rakahs, make 2 performances of prayer, and some make 4. Now, after that one, when you make that one, they say that's equivalent to making pilgrimage along with Prophet Muhammad.
Okay.
That's a very important one as well. Once it's started, continue it. Then there's the when the sun reaches its zenith, that means the one that's straight up.
That's its highest point, right?
That's its highest point, zenith. Okay. Now, when it starts to decline, about 1 o'clock or so, just say the zenith is at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock or so, when it starts to decline, that's when you make the prayer. You don't make it when it's at its zenith. You wait until it starts to decline. That's the afternoon prayer. That's the second one. And then the third one, Isha'a. That's when the sun, some of the scholars say, when you can look at your shadow on the ground, and your shadow, your shadow is equivalent to your height.
Okay.
You can make Isha'a at that time, when your shadow is equivalent to your height. Okay? That's the third prayer. The fourth one is Maghrib, which we're in that hour right now. That's after the sun goes back down below the horizon. Now, that's just, let's say, for example, you're fasting. When the sun go down, you could break your fast at that time, when the sun declines below the horizon. Now, the skies are still red at that time. That's the fourth one, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and then the fifth one, Isha'a. That's the last prayer at night. Very, very important at night. All 5 of those prayers, that's another one of the pillars, one of another foundations that Islam is built upon. Belief in one God, establishing regular prayer. That's 2.
When you talk about prayer, and you have explained it thoroughly, is it obligatory? Do we have to make the sunnah prayers? The sunnah prayers are the extra prayers that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam do. Have to? Is it obligatory? Do we have to? That's like extra prayers afterwards, because that's what the Prophet do. We have to. And maybe you could tell them, break down what I mean by sunnah prayers.
Sunnah is like a prayer that was made in addition to the regular 5 prayers. And it was one that was performed by Muslims. It is performed by Muslims all over the world, and it was performed by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah upon him. It's so important. As a matter of fact, 2 executions of the prayer before Fajr prayer is very meritorious. Not obligatory.
Okay.
Not obligatory, but it carries a lot of weight, and it means a lot. The more prayer that we make and the more obedient we are to our Creator, the more strength that we get. The more strength that we get. It's just like when you start picking up weights or something, and then you add another couple of pounds to it.
It's strong.
So the more that we apply ourselves like that.
You know, one of the other pillars, as you have explained to the listening audience, the pillar is a foundation. One of the other pillars is zakat. What does the etymology of the word zakat, what does that word mean? And I got a question after that. What does that word mean?
Islam is being built, this way of life, in every aspect. Zakat, it means that you are making charity in a way, or you're helping the poor, or you're putting something towards financially supporting the structure of Islam. It has to be a part of it. In the glorious Quran, we are instructed. Establish prayer and pay the zakat. Very important institution in any growth, any social growth, has to have financial stability.
So it is obligatory. We must pay the zakat, and this zakat, is that to look after the poor, to help the mosque? What is it? What is that money or that capital being used towards? Because some people say, I'm giving money. He's explaining that, but what is that capital or money? As the imam say, dollars for the people in the streets. What is that capital being used towards?
According to the Sunnah, and my understanding of it, it goes to the wealthy as well as those who are not so wealthy.
Okay.
Yes. You know, I mean, it's for those who are downtrodden, who are having a hard time, they are deserving of zakat. And it's distributed. Zakat is taken once a year, and it's obligatory on the amount of money that you have. After you've taken care of your family and make sure that your family is well taken care of, all your bills and everything paid, you may not have anything left but $2 left to your name. 2.5% of that goes towards.
Yeah, can I say you something? You're perceptive. That's the next question I was going to ask you. How much? Go ahead. Okay.
2.5% it goes towards after you've taken care of your business and taken care of your family. It's not that zakat come off the top money that you have after you pay your bills and everything and you satisfy the needs of your family. Now what you have left, zakat is due from that.
Understand. Hear that for people out there? It's 2.5%. And when do you get, you know what, I'm going to come to Ramadan. When do you give the zakat? Do you give it Every single time, is it just a designate a specific time? Because I see a little out there where we work at Mosque. It's like a little zakat box, but is there a specific time, or can you just give it any time you want to?
Some have it at a specific time, and that specific time has been designated either after the first Eid, the first celebration, after the month of Ramadan.
Okay.
After you experience Ramadan, and then sometimes you give it before the Ramadan prayer. So is that money can go towards helping someone else that's in need. Try to get it in before the prayer in Ramadan, breaking the fast.
And you know what? You know what? He touched on it. I mean, this guy's so quick. All praises to Allah, because I was coming to Ramadan next. Wow. Okay. What? You know what? Ramadan. What? You know what? That's a word, man, that some people might not even know the etymology of what that word means. And then I'm going to follow up with another question after that.
Ramadan, that's the month of fasting. 29, 30 days out of every year. The Muslims are invited to fast. Fast is an activity that you practice self-restraint.
Yeah.
That you don't give yourself over to things that you might ordinarily be giving yourself over to. And you learned how to restrain. When you're fasting, every organ on your body fasts. Your ears fasting, train your ears not to listen to a whole lot of foolishness. Your eyes fasting, your nose, your tongue, your stomach, so you don't take anything in that's going to be a violation to your abstaining or learning restraint.
You know what's fun? It's not really funny. You know what? When we go through Ramadan, the first day of Ramadan is real hard for me. And you know what? But it gets easier every day. But it's because I'm so conditioned to eating and drinking whatever I want to. It's very difficult for me the first day. Would you say that this difficult first day may be difficult for a lot of people or not really?
Fasting is prescribed to be an ongoing activity, even beyond the month of Ramadan. When we learn or discipline ourselves to fast at least 2 days out of every month.
Yeah.
Out of every month, Mondays and Thursdays. And at fasting days during those 2 days, it might be 3 days, is when the moon is at its fullest. That's following the example of Prophet Muhammad. So fasting, you could become prepared for the month of Ramadan by incorporating fasting more often than the month of Ramadan.
You know, now when you say that fasting is done 2 days out of the month, in Islam, is that obligatory, where it is mandatory for you to fast when you're not in the month of Ramadan? It's the best, but is it mandatory to fast outside of Ramadan?
Following the ways of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, is essential. And what he practiced and incorporated in his life and invited his followers to do, it makes fasting less difficult when that fasting comes in. So it's not obligatory. It's not obligatory to fast.
Gee, we only got 5 minutes.
beneficial.
5 minutes left. Wow, man, it's just getting warmed up. But anyway, the Hajj, is it obligatory? Maybe you can explain what Hajj means, and is it obligatory for a Muslim to go to Mecca out of Hajj? Can you explain what the word Hajj means?
Hajj is an application, and that's another one. That's the fifth pillar, So when one go on Hajj, and going to pilgrimage, he has fulfilled those 5 obligations. It's obligatory, at least once in our lifetime. When we are financially able to go on Hajj, there's no better way to spend your money than to prepare to go on Hajj. Once you go on Hajj, and then you can understand why Allah Most High has implemented that as being a part of our traveling, part of our journey, to go on Hajj. Hajj, you learn more about yourself, and you learn more about the world that we're living in.
I would like to ask you that there's a listening audience, and I would like to ask you, we only got a couple minutes, why should a person come to Islam opposed to other religions or denominations? Why?
Islam invites people to come to the worship of one God. And the subject can become sensitive, but we have to get above our sensitivities.
3 minutes.
Okay, now, the one God is not the Trinitarian doctrine as we've been oriented, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. It's one God. And that Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, that came up even after Jesus, if I'm not mistaken, yes, after Jesus, who they attached that Trinitarian doctrine to. So that was incorporated. So Islam invites the people primarily, first principle, to come to the worship of one God.
Alhamdulillah. We got I think 2 minutes left. Is there a specific message that you would like to give to the people that are looking at this on YouTube and television?
Gain knowledge. Don't stick your fingers in your ears and say, I don't need anything else. I got enough knowledge. Never say that, because we're all evolving to our most excellent self. Okay. And when we close our eyes and put our fingers in our ear, then we stop learning.
Okay. You've been looking at the Underground Railroad. You can catch this guy on YouTube 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Okay? And we're going to do a second segment, if it's the will of Allah. So, Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum assalam.
Subhanallah, we thank you, Allah, we praise you, Allah, for the books you have sent, Allah. Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, we thank you, Allah, we praise you, Allah, for the books you have sent, Allah. Subhanallah, we thank you, Allah, we praise you, Allah, for the books you have sent.